I'm Suzanne LaGrande, and this is Disobedient Femmes. Today, my guest is style coach Jennifer Koch. Welcome.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
Most of us have some vague idea about what a stylist does, usually in connection with working with Hollywood stars. To start, I'm wondering if you could tell me what a stylist is. What do you do?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I feel like most people just assume that, we work with the Hollywood stars is a very posh thing to do. But the truth is I work with all kinds of people of all different backgrounds and all different budgets as well. And really it's a very personal journey for each person. And really depending on where someone's at and how I could serve them. I do like to say, one thing I do, I can serve people all across the spectrum. One thing I do on Saturdays when I'm here in town is help clothe the homeless, where I help to, like, as part of my give back of like donating clothes and helping them to find the clothes that they need. I work, I have these shop your closet workshops that I do regularly, which is $50. And so people, instead of wasting $50, they learn how to use what's in their closet. And then I work with people that are high profile people and who want the more like VIP experience where I'm going into their home and spending many hours with them. But I guess some of the common threads of people that work with me on a more one-on-one is a lot of like I call it closet feng shui. So going through their closet, getting rid of the things that no longer just express who they are anymore. They may, it might just be an old identity. It might not fit. It might have funky energy. Really getting to know somebody. A lot of people come to me, they don't really know what their style is exactly. And I have a really fun style oracle deck that I use, and like curating, really getting to essence, being an intuitive person, the essence of who someone is, and then of course making shopping suggestions and styling outfits using what they have and new things as well.
But it sounds like you work with a whole spectrum of people. So what is style and why is it important for people to think about this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I had a client send me this quote recently. I have to see if I can find it real quick. It was by, actually this woman on the card she's over 100 now. Iris Affle, I think is how you say her name. It was like, style is something that I have it somewhere in my notes, but style is something that it's like who you are. It's not something that you can learn. It's just like an expression of who you are and how you put things together. And yeah, a lot of people they can go out to the mall. You can buy even expensive things, but not have style. It's like I lived in France, and I'm going to say this really badly, but that joie de vivre, like that essence about how you put things together. And it's like anything. It's like being a great conversationalist, being a great artist, cooking a great meal. It's there are some fundamental tools, but like ultimately it's like your own spirit that is expressed through that. I mean, my clients are like, that's one of the biggest misconceptions of people. Like, I don't want to dress like you. I'm like, you're not going to dress like me. You're just like you. And I have clients that are minimal and clients that are country and clients we were just talking that are like, client is very extra and loves the boa and the tiara, and clients that are corporate, clients that are retired. And it's like, it's like style is showing the world who you are. And especially as women, with our feminine energy, it's so connected with who we are and how we show up. And, whether we like it or not, we get judged by how we look, how we carry ourselves. And style is one of the biggest pieces of that.
A lot of people, and I would say this is true for me, feel like, well, maybe one day when I physically look a certain way, then I will be able to explore the kind of clothes or the kind of look that I want. But I don't look a certain way right now. So style is something beyond reach. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I do hear that a lot. There's a lot I could say about that. I mean, one, I have a client, there's a client testimonial where I've had clients lose weight actually from working with me, because not because I make them carry things, because they're like accepting of their bodies, and instead of like hating their bodies through the gym and like forcing it to, which people a lot of times don't even want to do anyway. They just have this idea of like, oh, one day I'm going to go, train for something. But when you really celebrate it, the body is really appreciative, and magical things can happen that way. And definitely as a stylist, like that's part of a role of a good stylist, is to be able to accentuate your body in the best ways for you. And one of the tools that I use, I have a couple of different tools of body type analysis. And some of these are very technical tools. One of them is actually based off of bone structure, which is really fascinating. So it doesn't change regardless of any kind of weight fluctuations. And you really learn like how to accentuate the body in the best way possible. So people end up looking slimmer actually. So people get more confidence from doing this work. And just this kind of a funny thing. A lot of times people are wearing the things that are not flattering them in the best ways. And it just becomes this like, the cyclical cycle of like hatred of the body. And it's like, actually, when you go and put something that makes you feel really good, it's just everything's going to work in your favor.
This brings up a question for me that I often encounter when I go to look for clothes, which is the things I like never come in my size. Or they don't seem to come in my size, right? Perhaps this is mainstream fashion, but there's a kind of contradiction between wanting to accept yourself and being given messages from various style or fashion magazines that you should look a certain way, you should dress a certain way, you should have a certain body type. So even if people want to accept themselves, there is a reality about what's available. How do you deal with that? How do you create the kind of choices that seem like they don't always exist easily?
Yeah, amazing question. So I really break down style just in a very different way. So I think most women, like, you go to the mall, and then you see something, and there's a limited sizing and it's frustrated and it just repeats. So I just completely changed the way that we shop. And so, for instance, I have plus size clients, and so we work a bit differently. And there's some super amazing plus size brands out there, like phenomenal. I have a client, we did a VIP shopping day. We found like unbelievable, gorgeous, high-end pieces. And so part of it is, you may not be going to all the mainstream places, but there's so many more options now than Lane Bryant. I mean, not to hate on Lane Bryant, but there's so much more. And a lot of it's online. And one thing with my client, we found these really gorgeous caftans, which are one size fits all that work, she's 3X and they look phenomenal on her, and certain tops that are very flattering. So part of it is just changing the way that people search. And one thing I do is I'm trained in this modality, and we talked a little bit about this before, called energy mastery. And I had found these tools after my own just like super frustration, having been a woo person, have done all the things, I've done Reiki, I'm Reiki master, done plant medicine, done shamanic stuff, done like you name it, like trauma coaching, business coaching, all of it. And I felt like I wasn't getting the progress. Like, why am I still not getting the results that I want, like in areas, particularly around money and finances? And I found these tools. I'm super passionate about them. I was using it for myself just because I just started using them and they were working in my life. And I started using them on my clients, like kind of as a trial at first, to be honest. It was like, they have a lot of stuff comes up when we do this work. Like things come up around body image, things come up around relationships. If clients have things from their exes, or I learned, going to someone's closet, you learn everything about what's going on in their life. And so I started using these tools, and they're just like, it's the most called like gangbuster combination to do styling and the energy work, that they really just show up and transform. So when clients do have like all these, like, I was saying it to a client the other day, it was like, we could spend all day like dissecting about what happened with your mom and what happened, at the store one time, someone, something didn't fit, it's like, I don't do fashion therapy. Like we use the tools and was able to, like, in a much more seamless way, like help shift people so that they can show up. And I do just want to say one thing around particularly women that are plus size, or you might be a bit outside of like the normal range, which actually you are normal. There's more women that are, oversized 10 than there are under. So I don't know why. It's frustrating for me too, because I think that it should be more depicted in mainstream media and all that. But a few different things. One is I am a big believer in made for you fashion. I did this a lot when I lived in Bali, Indonesia, but there are still options around. They're definitely out there depending on what the client wants, but getting style that's made direct exactly for you. custom order, or getting things and then getting it tailored so that it works for you. Because most people need tailoring because clothes are not really one size fits all. And then what was my other thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, I given my client, my client who's a plus size, I gave her an analogy of like, for instance, I have a lot of food allergies, and I guess you can just say maybe I'm picky with food. Like I'm mostly vegetarian. I eat some fish, it's pescatarian. I'm allergic to gluten. I don't really do a lot of dairy. I don't really do sugar. So there's like a lot of things that I don't eat. And I could just be really frustrated. There's not a lot of things, but actually you just go really deep into the things that I love. Like I love tea, and I just will geek out when I go places. I want to go to a tea house. I want to try new things. I can geek out over just like you find your category. And it's the same with plus size. Okay, maybe you're not going to do everything, but we're going to find like, you're going to be like the caftan queen. You're going to be like the necklaces queen. Like you're gonna find your thing, and you're just gonna like love it so hard.
So tell me a little bit about how you got started on this path.
Yeah, I didn't go to like styling school. It's really been my whole journey in personal development. And I say, having been in different sides of the fashion industry for 15 years, it's really been in the last year that it all came together, and that I launched my brand and serve clients in the way that I do. But yeah, I mean, I've been like, on my own heroine's journey, wounded healer, like been through a lot of healing and a lot of things to get here. And yeah, I mean, I dropped out of fashion school because I hate to sew. I traveled around the world, backpacked, out of college, and worked in retail for many years. Had a business doing health coaching, and eventually realized style was always my calling, and I was denying it for a long time. And that led me to Paris, France. Call it my devil wears Prada years of my life. So it sounds very glamorous, but it was actually very, very challenging in a lot of ways. But I also learned a lot, and a lot of things stuck with me about that appreciation of style, especially the French way. And and then moved to Bali, Indonesia. I had a bespoke fashion brand. I still have my chokers that I sell. Yeah, and then I guess like all the different pieces came together, and yeah, that's how. So I serve people now as a style coach.
Did you notice in your time in France that people in different places have a different sense of style, or like a different approach to style than, say, we do here in the US?
Oh, absolutely. I would say especially France was one of the most significant, like it's kind of a lot of ways my starting place in my journey. Even though I had worked in fashion here, I worked at Saks Fifth Avenue for many years, but they have definitely such a different approach to style. They're not shopaholics like Americans are. Like Americans go to the mall for like a hobby. They, as a whole, they're not like that. They really appreciate more like the quality of you buy like maybe a few things per season. You invest. Actually, that's one thing that I shifted when I went there. Like I stopped shopping at like the fast fashion stores, like for the most part, and you buy something, even like a bag or shoes, like you take them to a shoe cobbler, you go and get your leather bag repaired. Like even though these things are like passed on through the family, there's this appreciation and just a lot more intention with what you buy.
A lot of people think that fashion is only for young people, and
Mm,
this does, I think, reflect in some ways the ageism of the culture that we live in, where, a lot of times older women are more invisible. And you're
mhm,
talking about a job that makes women more visible.
mhm.
How do you work with, I guess, both the cultural messages about who should be visible, and then also the internalized messages we get about whether or not we should, show ourselves?
It's like simultaneously going together, and that's why I bring in the energy work, because we could style all these great outfits, but clients sometimes they get scared. They get scared of being seen, of being visible. So it's like having to do that deeper work as well. Um, Yeah, it's interesting, like people sometimes think that my clients are typically younger. And I would say sometimes on social media, maybe sometimes you see some of my more young-ish clients, because some of the ones that are like in the old, sometimes they don't want to be featured, which is too bad because I'm like, but the majority of my clients are over 40 for sure. I would say I've had more clients like 40s, 50s, 60s, even in their 70s. Um, and yeah, there definitely is, there is some of that to work through. And each client is different with where they are in their journey. And that's why most of my clients even become very friendly. I get to know them on a level. And some of them even, like, I have this one client, and she's amazing, and she's a prominent part of a very prominent family here in town. And I can just tell she's just like not ready to like let go. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna do some more, we're gonna do your energy work. Like, I know you hired me to detox your closet, but you're putting it off. You're putting it off. Like, it's like there's just more. And I know it's not about the closet. I can tell it's about some of the traumas that she has experienced in her life. So I know the energy stuff really gets people rolling in a really easy, I mean, in a very yeah, and just a very easy way. Like, we're not going and processing a lot of stuff. They just start like, just like the layers start just shedding off of them. Yeah, I have this amazing client of mine who is 51. I had interviewed her recently in my Facebook group, and she's just so stylish. She's French. She lives in Bali. She's got this swagger about her, and her whole mission is, yeah, women over 50, like, life is just starting for a lot of women. And I mean, I think women over 50 is so beautiful, and so much wisdom, so much vitality. It's not what, we had seen in prior generations, that you just have to, like, I don't know, just not, like, you just have to like whittle away. I'm part of this women's group here in town, and that we have these speakers that come each week that are authors, and have a story to tell. And there's this woman, and she was probably like 70, I would say, who was giving the talk. And I was just mesmerized. She was so beautiful. Like, you can tell she didn't have like any work done, and like her wrinkles, and like her hair, it's like long brown hair that was like graying. And I was like, wow, like that's what I'm going to look like in so many years. And just like her sharing her story, and she's done some phenomenal things in her life. And I'd heard Diane von Furstenberg is a famous fashion designer, talked about people had told her, like, oh, you should get work done. You're getting old. And she's like, no. And she's like, the flower that is what's the word, that's like decaying, the flower that's aging or whatever, like, that's still beautiful. And I
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah, like, I love when one thing I do is like this. I love to create flower arrangements, and even in the winter, I love to go and get the things that are like, the weeds and the dead things and the brown things. Like, it's as beautiful as like the spring flower. So
And it strikes me that in doing the work that you do, in some ways, you are helping people to come up with their own ideas about beauty, instead of the
yeah,
ones they've been handed.
definitely, definitely. And I think, I mean, all women, at least I've worked with, or that I know, like, there's like something for them to work through. And then it's just seeing like a different perspective. I mean, even my clients that like are younger, so everyone has their thing, like, oh, my body's shaped this way, and I was told it should be that, or I'm very extra, I should told, it's like, it's just, yeah, there's always something for people just to be able to reflect, like, no, you are really beautiful, and to like embrace who you are. You don't have to be like someone else. Just be like you.
In the work that you do, I imagine part of what you're doing is helping people to develop an identity that is aligned with perhaps who they want to be rather than who they've been.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely. Each person is a bit. Yeah, like each of my clients, I kind of have a different way that I would handle. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I have one client who she's very extra. Like, she's a very fascinating personality. She's very funny. She does like digital marketing and energy stuff. And just no one in the world like her. And she's always had this dream of doing a show. a reality show, and she used to be very sick. She had Lyme disease for years, and she was bedridden, and she overcame all of that. And but she's still wearing these clothes that were just like they were just sad and we're dull and we're boring and we're not at all. And I just, as I get to know people, because I'm an intuitive, I can and I ask a lot of questions and get to get their vibe. And so we start putting her in the clothes that just make her come alive. And she's the one I mentioned that does like a lot of pink and boa and sparkles and just I don't know, we call her a little bit like inappropriate. I don't know, just like extra and super fun and like childish and playful, but still elements of sophisticated. It's just quirky in her own thing. And what's interesting is like we had styled this one outfit for her. It looked really cool. It was this like long pink kind of a tiered skirt, and then she had this kind of like a mock leather lingerie kind of top. And we styled it like a purse. Everything like looked really cute together, how we styled it. And it was great, the outfit, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna wear that, tomorrow, because we were planning it. And then tomorrow comes and she just got scared. She's like, oh, I got too scared. And I know I can be a little bit like firm with her. So I was like, all right, so when are you gonna wear it? We styled this outfit. She's like, okay, tomorrow. So Tuesday comes, and so part of it was just getting over that. That's part of like style coaching, is like sometimes you need a little bit of a like, a little bit of support and a little bit of push sometimes. So she wears the outfit and she ends up meeting this guy who is a producer. She's in Southern California. He's worked with Netflix. He's worked with Whoopi Goldberg and Charlie Sheen. And he just like, they that's one of the first things they connect about, is like, oh, that's a really cool outfit. And then she's just being her, and he's like, I really want to work with you. Like, let's do something. I could be your producer. So it's like that just totally activated something in her. But what's interesting is she had a little bit of a downward spiral. She stopped doing some of the work and stuff, and life got a little bit rough for her. She wasn't using her tools. And then the fashion started to slide as well. And she wasn't working with me for a while. And so it's just interesting. So now it's like, now she did a session with me recently, and things are picking back up. And now she's like inspired to going back for working on the show and stuff. And it's like, for a lot of women, I mean, it depends. I mean, for her, I can see for you too, it's like an activator to your creative spirit.
And it's so fascinating in that story how changing her external world also brought new opportunities as she showed up, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's fascinating. It's a kind of magic, really, right?
It
That
really is.
you change your appearance and you also change the world around you, or you change what shows up in the world around you.
Mhm.
That's
Definitely, definitely.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
So of course I have to ask, so what is a stylegasm?
Yeah, I took a lot of time to think through like the name, and it's very intentional that it's not my name. No shade for people if that's what they choose, but Stylegasm is, I mean, I realized I had this, oh, someone's calling me, decline. I know for myself, like I have this visceral feeling of excitement around style and around clothes. Like when you just wear something that feels amazing, you see something that you really want, and it's like I want that feeling for my clients. And when you wear something and you just like feel in yourself so good, that's what's having a stylegasm.
Well, if people wanna find out more about your work and how to work with you, where can they go?
Instagram, like have a stylegasm. It's probably the easiest place to find me. Have a
Okay,
stylegasm. And
Instagram,
then
have a stylegasm.
yeah. Yeah, I
Okay,
have and then in the profile, I have a link for you could book a call with me, but you just send me a DM, tell me what you liked about the interview, and we can go from there.
great. Well, thank you so much for being on Disobedient Femmes today.
Yeah, thank you. I love being here.
My name is Suzanne LaGrande, and this is Disobedient Femmes. Each week, I bring you interviews with kick-ass women artists, activists, and entrepreneurs. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe in the link below. Thanks for listening.